So let's turn to practice for today. This is the 37th day of the Omer. It's the second day of the 6th week. And this 6th week, we are immersing in the quality associated with the Kabbalistic, the Jewish mystical sphera, which is called Yesod. Yesod means literally foundation. And we're going to explore the connotation of that in our practice today. What does it mean to engage with foundation? What is foundation? It's the second day of the week, which is associated with the sub-quality for this week of Gevura, which literally means strength, but which those of you who've been with us through this journey know we're treating in the sense of wise boundaries, using our strength to create channels, to create containers. So in this sense, today, we're engaging in Gevura Yesod, using our strength and our capacity to make distinctions, to focus our energy, to create container in service of Yesod. And as we'll see in a moment, Yesod is associated with the quality of tzedek, of justice or righteousness. So today we're going to sit on our chair or our throne or our seat of righteousness or justice. And that's going to be our focus for today. So just a quick reminder of the journey so far. We began with Chesed, which corresponds to our right side, our right shoulder, our right hand. So I want to invite you to begin by putting that hand on, if you're comfortable doing so, over your heart space. That loving connection to ourselves, and as we do it together with each other, just to notice and feel the pulsations of our heart. Chesed. And then we add to that Gevura. We take our left hand, representing our strength, and we hold it on top of the right hand against our heart to support it, to create a container for it. And then we bring our awareness to Tiferet, balanced self, which is the midpoint, which corresponds to the heart itself, the heart space itself. So we're balancing Chesed and Gevura right over Tiferet, right over balanced self. So we can notice our heart, and we can notice the space between our lungs and the spine behind that, our midpoint. We add to that Netzach and Hod, which correspond to the area of our solar plexus, the area of just above the belly button, the abdomen. And those contain the energy of our striving, our restless energy to make things happen in this world. And also contains Hod, our gratitude, our capacity to be with things in this world just as they are, to be with ourself just as we are. And so we're holding all of those. Just take a few breaths with awareness of Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, the center, Netzach, the energy to do, the energy to change, and Hod, our ability to accept, to receive, to be with what is. Just a few breaths there. And maybe extending the spine by pressing the crown of the head up a little bit towards the heavens, towards the sky. If your eyes have closed, I invite you to open them for a moment and take a look at this chart of the spherod and notice what we're focusing on today, which is Yesod here, the blue, which is informed here by Gevura up here. So Yesod If Chesed and Gevurah correspond to our shoulders, Tiferet corresponds to the heart space, Netzach and Hod correspond to the abdomen, perhaps to the hips. Yesod refers to, actually I'm going to go down here. Yesod refers to the foundation. I'm going to actually go down a little bit. This is a picture of the sacrum. Right in the middle, this bone, this series of bones is actually 5 vertebrae which are fused together. Here is our tailbone, and then our hip bones are connected to the sacrum. This is literally our seat, the seat which supports the whole structure of our body. You can see the hip bones, you can see the leg bones connected, and the pelvis. And this is the area that we're focusing on today for Yesod. We're going to channel our energy there. Yesterday, Ken Heather Bachelor reminded us that the letter Tzadi, the Hebrew letter Tzadi here, has this flat bottom, which provides a sturdy foundation. And the letter Tzadi is the first letter of the word Tzadik, or Tzedek, justice. Tzadik is somebody who manifests justice, or a tzadeket. And the key phrase from Proverbs here is this: Ka'avor sufa be'ein rasha, v'tzadik yesod olam. From Proverbs 10:25, when the storm passes, the wicked vanishes, but tzadik yesod olam. The righteous is an eternal foundation. This is where one of the ways in which we find the association between yesod and tzedek. Tzadik yesod olam. So the last thing we'll look at is this brief passage from the Talmud, in which Rabbi Chia bar Abba teaches in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Afilu bishvil tzadik echad ha'olam mitkayem. Even for one righteous person, the world exists. Shene'emar v'tzadik yesod olam. And Rabbi Yochanan quotes that verse from the book of Proverbs. How do we know that the world exists even if there's just one righteous person in it? Because Proverbs teaches, Tzadik Yesod Olam. The righteous is the foundation of the world. So today we get to imagine that we are that person. We're that person who potentially is the tzaddik on which the world depends. There's a Jewish legend that there are 36 Lamed Vav, 36 righteous people in the world who sustain the world. But here in the Talmud, we get this idea that the world can be sustained even just by one person having the capacity to access their tzedek, their capacity to do what's right. And that quality of doing what's right is identified with Yesod, and Yesod is identified with that sacrum bone. So I want to invite us to bring that into practice today, to use our gevurah, to use our capacity to separate out the time, to separate out the thoughts, to bring focused attention to our capacity to engage in moral action in this world. So I invite you to, if you're comfortable, closing your eyes, or as always, just softening your gaze, like a soft focus. And it's fine to do neither of those, and just to look out your window at the sky or the trees. Find some focal point, something that you can use to help yourself stay as present as possible to your experience. And if you can, to rest the soles of your feet on the floor, really grounding there in the foundation of this earth, feeling connected to the earth, not apart from it, not separate from it, remembering our fundamental, inextricable relationship with this planet. through that connection, as if we were sending our roots down into the earth and feeling the energy flow between us and our planet. And bring some attention to that sacrum, that bone, which sits in our pelvis. Maybe you can feel the sides of just to locate where your hip bones are. Since we don't often access the skeletal structure, whatever the condition of your hips, whatever the condition of your hip bone, whether it is natural or artificial, just to remember that those bones are there, and to become aware of this sits bones resting on the seat or in the cushion or on the sofa. Try to find a position of balance using Tiferet to find a place of alignment, sending the spine up as we are able in our bodies, whatever the condition of our bodies. And again, pressing the crown of our heads up towards the sky. And feeling strength in our body. Again, whatever the condition of the body. Gevura should be yesod. Awareness of our strength. Awareness of our ability to draw a line between what's right and what's not right. Awareness of our ability to intervene, to act. And imagining the seat, the chair, whatever we're sitting on, as the seat of justice. And we're taking our seat. Strong foundation, strong sense of right and wrong. And breathing. And if you'd like to bring it all together, again, you can place your right hand over your heart space, bringing chesed to yourself, adding to that your left hand on top, gevura, strength, awareness of tiferet, capacity to find alignment and balance between ourselves and others, between the Jewish people and the other peoples of the world, balance in nature, balance of all these qualities in ourselves. And we notice restless energy, energy of Netzach, and we notice energy of Hod, letting us settle deeply into this seat, just letting the body and the pelvis ground down into the chair, feeling the support, feeling the strength of our foundation stone. Tzaddik Yesod Olam. And let's sit for about 10 minutes. For the last few minutes of our set, inviting you to consider, what is your foundation? Can you feel your foundation in your body? Can you feel that support? Whatever the level of gevura or strength, can you be aware of it? Can you trust your foundation to hold the weight of your body and your life? With a lot of compassion towards self, with a lot of kindness. Gently using as a mantra for practice 3 words: Tzaddik Yesod Olam. Tzaddik Yesod Olam. Through this practice, may each of us have greater awareness of and access to the inner tzaddik, the inner voice of righteousness and justice that lives in every human being, and work to enact to make that so. Inviting you to open your eyes if they've been closed, or to come back together to our circle. And even if we can't all see each other, to use our mind's eye to look around the circle and notice those of us who are in mourning, those who are observing a yard site, who are holding memories, holding the souls of loved ones. And those of you who are, invite you to add their names in the chat box if you'd like, either now or after we recite Kaddish together. And for the rest of us who may not be reciting Kaddish right now, for anyone in particular, to be here as a loving presence to support, to provide that yesod, that foundation, which enables others to hold their grief. And invite those of you who are reciting Kaddish to join me by rising in body or in spirit. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yamad, Yivrach, Yirutei, V'yalich Malchutei. V'chaye Chon, V'yomei Chon, V'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Bizman Kariv, Imru, Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Barak
Torah,
Olam
Elam
U'amei
Umera
Hayaya.
Maya.
Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei tekutsha b'richu la'elam kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamayim v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'romav Uyaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Yoshvei Tevel V'imru Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thanks for joining us and adding your collective presence to this circle of practice today. Thanks, Adi Stein, as always, for holding this container with grace and skill. Just a reminder, also, I want to thank Sandra Spector. Sandra, thank you so much for sponsoring our practice today in memory of Harriet and Marion Levin. Zichronam Libracha, may their memory be a blessing always for you and for all whose lives they touched. Just a reminder that we have a wonderful group of teachers the rest of the week. Tomorrow will be led by Kohenik Ashira Halev Fife, joining us from Pittsburgh. On Thursday will be led by Yael Shai, and on Friday by Aviva Chernik. And I know on Tuesdays, normally Rabbi Josh Fagelson, our executive director, hosts. Josh and I swapped. He'll be sitting in for me on Friday to host the sit with Aviva Chernik. So those of you who are leaving, we hope you'll join us for one of those meditations or sometime soon, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. For those who would like to stay on, you're welcome to do so. If you have a question about our practice today or about the teaching, I'm happy to review any of that. Please, if you have a question, put it in the chat box and preface it with questions so I can keep an eye out for that. Let's see, there's a question about the Sfirot. Of course, this can be quite, when we talk about the Kabbalistic Sfirot, that can be pretty complicated and it can also seem very abstract, which is why I think it's, for me, I know it's been helpful when our teachers have been grounding the practice in our bodies. And so I'll share, let me just bring up the document again. Take me 1 sec to do that. Just to review it, because our time constraints does not allow a lot of time to go over. So let me try to make it a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay. So this was, as I said, Gevura in service of Yesod. Gevura, strength, wise boundaries in service of Yesod, which is translated usually as foundation and is associated with the midah of tzedek, of righteousness. So here's the, let's make it a little bit smaller so we can see the whole thing. Here's the chart or rubric of the Sfirot. Sfirot are aspects, facets of divine, as we think about the divine as kind of a diamond with a number of facets. They're all part of the one, but there are different aspects of it. And there's a sequence and a flow, although the flow goes both up and down, and each one contains all the others, so it gets very complicated. But if we break it down and try in the simplest terms, Chesed, corresponding to the right shoulder, Gevura, Chesed, loving connection, paired with Gevura, wise boundaries. I was suggesting the right hand, the left hand, and then Tiferet, the heart space, the balance point between the integration of Chesed and Gevura, and then Netzach and Hod, Netzach representing energetic response, vitality and striving, the desire to do, paired with Hod, the capacity to be with what is, to receive, to accept, gratitude. So those 5 fed into this one today, Yesod, which is associated, as I said, is usually associated with the general area or the groin area, the pelvic area. And Yesod, which literally means foundation, is among the qualities that's associated with is tzedek, justice, or righteousness. So in other words, justice or righteousness really stems from and integrates these 5 qualities: love, boundaries, humility, energetic response, and gratitude. All those are in the recipe for justice and righteousness. So where do we locate that in our body? I was trying to invite us to go through that. So the association of Yesod with Tzedek, with righteousness, in part comes from this verse from Proverbs 10:25. Ka'avor sufa, when the storm passes, ein rasha, the wicked vanish. Or we might say wickedness vanishes. We want to even just take that in mindfulness terms. When when the storminess and all the tumult in our mind and confusion and distraction settles down, then we can see clearly, and we can see and experience and be more in touch with our inner tzaddik. And actually, there are a few different ways to translate these 3 words: tzaddik, yesod, olam. The word olam means world. People are familiar with it if you know the Hebrew blessing formula. Melech, which refers to God as Melech or Ruach HaOlam, sovereign of the world. But Olam has a connotation of limitlessness, of infinity, of endlessness. So world doesn't quite capture that. Olam means everything. And really, so when we say, when Proverbs said, Tzaddik Yesod Olam, the tzaddik, the righteous, is the foundation of what's endless, of what's eternal. It is, of course, Dr. King made famous that expression that there's a moral arc to the universe that bends towards justice. That's really what this refers to. And in a sense, what it's really saying is we each have that moral arc within us. It's there. And it's up to us to notice that and to bend it towards justice. So the first letter of tzaddik is a tzadi. Here's that letter. And as Cantor Heather Batchelor taught yesterday, it's a very stable letter because it has this flat bottom that supports it. And so that is just that flat bottom we're suggesting here is Yesod. That's our foundation, and we can locate that in our body. We have that bottom of the tzadi in us, in the hip bones, the sacrum, the pelvis. That's what's holding up the whole upper torso. That's what's supporting us and supporting everything. And that's why I thought it was interesting to juxtapose the tzadi with this image of that bone structure, which honestly, not being a physician who's ever taken anatomy, this was kind of news to me to really look at this and break it down and understand the incredible complexity of this structure. And then it's just amazing. And that this is called the sacrum. You see, it's this plate that is the juncture where the upper body and the lower body come together. Of course, it's the location of the procreative powers as well, but it isn't the organs, it's the structure. It's the firm structure that holds it up. One of the things I learned when looking at this is that these 5 vertebrae here actually fuse in early adulthood around the ages of 18 to 21. Isn't that interesting? And then we have the tailbone down here, probably some remnant. So that was just a review. Yeah, so Monica is asking, so we stream all these meditations on our YouTube channel, and all the recordings are posted there. So you can always revisit this or any other of our meditations, the yoga sessions, and the Torah study sessions on our YouTube channel. We're really glad that really glad to make that more accessible. All right, I'm looking through here. Okay, there's a lot of questions. Does the teaching tell us to prioritize survival or standing for righteousness and life and death circumstances? I'm not sure if I'm getting that question, Shira, though. Your question is, what it's bringing up for me is the relationship between Yesod and standing for something. Honestly, I was going to lead into the end of our sit by playing I Shall Not Be Moved, recording by Mississippi John Hurt. In fact, if I can, I'll put the link in there. I don't think I'll be able to right now, but thinking about it as the Yesod, the righteousness has to do with our ability to ambulate, to walk, to take a stand. So I'm thinking less about survival than about standing for righteousness, about using our strength, our gevura, for righteousness. And not just righteousness alone, but righteousness that's informed by all those other qualities that comes out of love, righteousness that comes out of love, not just out of righteous anger, for example, or out of pain or hurt or suffering, but is informed by a profound awareness of our interconnectedness and our common fate, our common destiny. Okay, so I'm going to just... Yes, Cheryl. I also was struck by that, that the image, take another look at this, is really quite amazing. That image of the pelvis looks like a butterfly. It looks like a throne, I think, to me. I was kind of conjuring up that image, but it very much looked like a butterfly. And I love that. I love that it has, it's the strongest, firmest part of our body. In fact, the part of our body that is last to disintegrate. And yet it has that image that conjures up that something so fragile, so soft, so ethereal as a butterfly. Love that. I shall not be moved. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lori, for putting that in. Many versions of it. Ella Fitzgerald has a great one too, but that Mississippi John Hurt one gets me every time. So it gives us an opportunity today to think about where we use our strength to take a stand, whether it's for ourselves, for our planet, could be for our own survival, Shira, yeah, and or for others, or all of the above. So may this be our blessing, Kinyi Ratso, on this 37th day of the Omer. All right, friends, I want to thank Adi, thank you all for being here. I know at least a couple of you joined us for the first time today, so really lovely to have you. Hope you'll come back. And I'm very much looking forward to practicing tomorrow with Kashira Halev-Fife, who will join us from Pittsburgh. So be well until the next time we gather. Blessings, everyone.